Breaking news here on a Friday morning, the day after the NBA draft concludes. The Dallas Mavericks have done it, Coop. Tim Hardaway Jr. has been traded to the Detroit Pistons. We'll have full details, reaction, and what it ultimately means coming up here on today's show. But first, this is why you subscribe. When news drops, we hit you with the video. So hit that subscribe button. If you want our breakdown of the Mavericks draft pick yesterday, you can go check that out after this video as well. Hit the sub button for agency starts Sunday, and for the Mavs, it could start today. We'll explain here in a little bit. All right, Coop, here's the details. Tim Hardaway Jr., 3 second-round picks, 1 next year, 2 in 2028. Quentin Grimes comes back in return, who I think right now, just if you were talking about 1-for-1 swap, actually helps you more than Tim Hardaway Jr.
I'd agree.
Yeah, it cost you 3 second-round picks, but if anyone watched the NBA draft yesterday, the second round does not matter. So this is more than worthwhile if you are the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, it was time for Tim to go. I mean, the trade rumors have lasted for literally 3 seasons now, and it felt like it was coming to a head. It sounds like last week Tim and the Mavericks got together and they mutually agreed to part ways mutually. I think it was a true mutual at this point. And the Mavs found a destination where Tim could go and get up a lot of shots, and in return, the Mavs get much-needed cap relief, and a guy in Quentin Grimes who I actually think could help this team next year in some capacity.
Yeah, I want to talk about Tim first, just real quick, if I may, because, look, you and I have been harsh on him. This year got frustrating quick because he actually played better than expected the first half of the year. Because remember, last offseason, the talk was, man, I think they're trying to trade him, but with 2 years left, I just don't think it was that easy to do. And he put his head down. He played pretty well, and, look, I don't know what happened. He just was not good the second half of the year. But I think we'd be remiss to not say that the guy did some good things for this organization.
Of course he did.
He was the second best player on a team that lost to the Clippers in 7 games in 2021. Before the leg injury a couple of years ago, he was a very good starter in this league, and I just don't think he's been quite the same since then. I mean, one thing we mentioned on this show was really, since that injury, all he can really do is catch and shoot now. He can't put the ball on the deck. He can't slash. The defense was never great, but it was at least average. That's fallen off a cliff. So, like you said, it's just time. Like, it's fun for us to crack jokes and, like, yeah, adios, Timmy, all that. And, yeah, like, I feel that way. But it's more so it's just like, hey, man, it had run its course. And really, it had run its course through last season. I think if the Mavs could have, they would have dealt him last year. So here we are a year later, and at least Nico Harrison salvages a young 24-year-old who I still think has a lot of promise in this league.
Yeah, as far as the Quentin Grimes stuff goes, he had an up-and-down year last year. He was traded from New York to Detroit, and he only played 6 games for the Pistons before sitting out the remainder of the season with a knee injury. The stats were a little down last year, didn't play a whole lot. The field goal percentage, not great, just less than 34% from 3. But I do think he provides you value on the defensive end, and his switchability, especially in the 2-3 position, is going to be valuable for this team.
And 2 years ago, Coop, his last healthy season, I mean, I'm not even expecting this, but like 11 points, 47%, 39% from 3 on a pretty decent New York Knicks team, like, that doesn't have passers like Luka Doncic or even Kyrie Irving. Like, I mean, if you could kind of split the difference between what he shot last year and what he shot 2 seasons ago, like if he could shoot, let's say 42, 43% from the field, 36, 37% from 3, which, by the way, he was just under 37% before those 6 games with the Pistons last year, where he literally couldn't make a shot. I mean, he was
cooked.
Those 6 games completely tanked his three-point shot percentage last year. He was like, I think 36.8% with the Knicks before those 6 games. So, like, give me that three-point shooting and the defense he provides. Like, he helps you more than Tim does right now. I don't think it's a question. I think a healthy Quentin Grimes, Coop, would have played some notable minutes in this playoff run. I really do.
Yeah, I think the main question is he better than Josh Green? Because I think that's his direct comp. So that'll be an interesting training camp battle to monitor, whether it's Quentin Grimes or Josh Green getting the majority of the rotation minutes. I don't think Josh Green is going to get traded this offseason as a result of this move, but I certainly wouldn't rule it out. I really do think that Grimes has something to give to this team. And we'll just have to see what happens, man. I think the Mavs were eyeing up this move for a while. The main thing they wanted to do was clear cap to go get Derrick Jones Jr. I think that was the main move that they wanted to make, and they're going to be able to do that now because they will be under the cap under the tax, as far as their money goes.
So you guys see the trade details. Grade the trade for us, A, B, C, D, or F. Let us know down in the comment section below. Before we get to the Derrick Jones part of this, because that is a big part of it, I do want to talk about something you just mentioned, the Josh Green, Quentin Grimes thing. I think Quentin Grimes, what we saw 2 years ago, is better than what we've ever seen from Josh Green. He scored at a higher clip. He defended at a higher level. I guess Josh Green has shot 40% from three before, but on a much smaller volume. Like, I think my point is, I think if Quentin Grimes can reach his potential, he profiles as a more reliable 3-and-D player than Josh Green does. Now, am I sitting here saying I'm actively shopping Josh Green? No,
not necessarily.
Because he has value. He can defend 1 through 3s at at least decent level. He is a streaky spot-up shooter like we saw in Game 5 against the Celtics. He was lights out. But he kind of comes and goes. Like, I think Quentin Grimes can be a more consistent contributor for this team, assuming the knee checks out and he gets back to what he was 2 seasons ago. So I agree. I doubt Josh Green gets traded. But if we're 30 games into next year and Quentin Grimes is back to what he was 2 seasons ago, maybe he's a midseason trade candidate.
Could be.
Because at that point, I think he is expendable for Dallas. So we'll see how it goes. Now, as far as the offseason profile goes now, courtesy of Bobby Marks here, Dallas is under the first apron and now has access to the full 12.9 mid-level exception for non-tax paying teams. What does that mean, Coop? Well, it means they're going to go sign Derrick Jones Jr. And I mentioned earlier, free agency could start as soon as today for Dallas. They might just get this done before he's even able to test the open market on Sunday. Like, if they can come to an agreement, you might as well.
Absolutely. And as Nico Harrison said in his exit interview, plan 1A and plan B is to go get Derrick Jones Jr. Back with the Mavericks. We saw how popular of a teammate he was and how good of a player he was for the Mavericks so far in his first year with Dallas. He was invaluable going to the finals. I think that's the word, right? Invaluable. He played the best basketball of his career, plain and simple. And the Mavericks really need him to get back. If you look at the starting 5 right now, do you want it to be Josh Green or Quentin Grimes in that starting 5? I don't. So I think if you get Jones back on that 4-year, $55 million deal, whatever that is, I'm very excited for that. And I think that the Mavs are going to be able to do that because Derrick Jones spoke at length about how he feels about the Mavericks and how he feels at home and wants to be here. So I think he will be.
And by the way, even if you are looking to upgrade from Derrick Jones, you could still re-sign him and explore other trades. Like, you still have, like we said, Josh Green, Maxi Kleber, Jaden Hardy. You've got your 2025 first-round pick that is tradable, 2031. So, like, it's not like if this team wants to look for upgrades, they can't do it. Would I predict that? Probably not. I think they're more of a midseason trade team again now based on today's move. It kind of feels like we got Grimes, we dumped Hardaway, we're going to re-sign Jones, and that's how we're going to start the season with. But it's not like this team doesn't have avenues,
of course,
to make upgrades at some point, even if it's not right now. So,
and we'll talk about other free agency moves in a bit. I know Mark Stein had the report about the Mavs and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope having mutual interest. We'll see if that's a feasible thing. It's probably not in the short term, but we'll explore all of that soon. But the Mavs definitely have a little bit of flexibility here to try to add to this roster and try to repeat as Western Conference champions.
What do you guys think? Will the Mavs re-sign Derrick Jones Jr., yes or no? I think it's a clear yes, and it wouldn't shock me if it happened as soon as today.
Yeah, it could.
It really – I mean, Tim McMahon tweeted out the Mavs will now be able to use most of the taxpayers mid-level to re-sign him. I mean, that would be interesting. Could you get him for less than the 12.9? Like, would 3 for $30 do it? 10 a year? I mean, that'd be a steal. I don't really think it matters that much, but we'll see what the terms are. But he seemed to really like it here. The Mavs seemed to like him. He obviously played a notable role for this team, so I don't see how the answer is no unless something unforeseen is coming.
If Derrick Jones re-signs, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll have a video later today on it. We'll keep up to date with all the latest Mavericks news and rumors. NBA free agency just about 48 hours away, beginning on Sunday. Mavs may have something up their sleeve. Who knows? I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, look, they still have – if they re-sign Jones, do they even have a roster spot after the Ajinka pick? They actually may not.
They may not. Yeah, they would have to make some moves. We'll see. They have a couple of non-guaranteed deals. Obviously, Dante Exum, his deal is actually guaranteed tomorrow. And it will be guaranteed.
He will be back.
We'll get an answer on that. AJ Lawson, a couple of other guys as well. We'll see what the Mavs end up doing. It could be quiet. Maybe Nico Harrison has a trade up his sleeve. We'll see what happens. I know the Mavs are always kind of active on the fringes this time of year.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's show. Timmy out, Quentin Grimes in, Derek Jones next. If it happens, we'll have you covered.